And I think we're live. Yes, the
Yep.
numbers are going up. Welcome to Vlog Thursday number 383. New swag, custom keyboards, Matt Fox, which is also something new. Hey, and Tech Talk and live Q&A. So we're doing something a little bit different because I usually do a lot of Q&A. We'll definitely have some Q&A, but I wanted to intro Matt here, who has now joined the Lawrence Systems team essentially here. We'll say it's pretty official. Things are getting serious.
Yeah, hold on a second. We're going to change one thing really quickly here. Just give me 1 second.
All right.
This is sort of tradition, right?
Yeah, sure. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Matthew Lawrence. Oh, wait, no, he's the guy from Blossom, isn't he? I got to go back to Fox. Hold on a second. That just doesn't seem right. It's good to be here with you, Tom. Thanks for having me today. It's cool to kind of become a part of Lawrence Tech Services, man, and make some good stuff happen.
Yeah, so he is the brainchild behind the new swag store, which I've been wanting to do. If you guys don't know, it's I'll drop the link here real quick, of course, because I got to do some self promotion.
Hold on, I should be supporting it. This is store.lawrence. Wait, what's the URL
Shop.
again? We just said it today. Shop.
Yeah. Yep, shop.lawrencesystems.com.
Beautiful.
But I also did Lawrence.video/swag. That way I don't have to update it in a video, so it points to where it needs to point, just in case there's ever some problem that occurs, because DNS,
it's always a problem.
But we certainly got some new cool shirts in here. This is back that NASA up, which that was broken in the old store because of something stupid. Then we got these. These are genius, dude. I'm going to say that this has been one of my favorite. I love the minimalist stuff that Matt did here. So this whole
they were fun to do, and like I said to you on this one, it reminded me of my first job. I ended up the first couple of weeks of my first job putting together nothing but patch cables. It was like almost a test to see if I cared about the work. And by the end, fingers were kind of raw and bleeding. And you never forget the order of the wiring of the colors in an Ethernet cable after that, and that's where it came from. A lot of the stuff we did came from like past memories and funny conversations that we've had. And I think that makes everything here super, super genuine. And that's why I love it all. It's the Ethernet side of things, the crimp hand. Again, back to the first week of work, the crimping tool. I mean, I felt like I had Hulk Hogan's hands by the time I was done with all the patch cables, A little bit goes into that. And I think that's something that all of us as IT professionals experience in one way or another. And that's what makes these shirts so much fun.
Yeah, it's kind of a fun idea. And to give a little background is I've actually known Matt for a little while, and just this strange collision of from the time I decided to merge with CNWR, I was like, okay, for a little while, no, not having employees sounds really nice because I first passed them over to CNWR. I'm still a part owner of CNWR, but I don't focus on employees and staff meeting things. I do solutions design and architecture and bring all that knowledge over to the channel here about the projects we're doing. And I still have some more videos coming on a recent project. I know people have been asking for it, but the Wi-Fi planning one is coming. That is, but it was like, I'll wait, I'll figure it out. I'll do a lot of this on my own, but sometimes you end up burning the candle at both ends, because I was like, the store I've been wanting to replace for a while, it didn't get done. It's like, there's only so many things because I'm doing all my own editing. Actually, someone said, I was laughing. Someone said, Tom, you must hire interns to do those graphics because they look cool for the animated graphics I had in the recent VPN video. I said, no, I drew all those. That's why the video was only like 6 minutes of recording. The hour it took me to prep the video was drawing silly graphics. I don't outsource much stuff. And I needed to get this moving forward. And this is where Matt comes in. He was working. He's worked in the IT MSP space forever. Like, how long have you been working in a tech space now?
In the tech space, my first job out of high school was tech related, doing IT work for a publishing company. And then my first office job, like I'm 18, a little older, going to college, was at a nonprofit, the National Foundation for Teaching Entrepreneurship. I ran the IT department there. So I've been in IT since about 2000. And my first interaction, this is cool. My first interaction with an MSP is when one tried to come in and replace me at the nonprofit. It was an MSP in 2005 called Mindshift. And I think they got acquired by Rico at some point. But that was I was like, nope, sorry, this is not happening. And that's when I started learning a little bit more about how MSPs worked. And by the time I was ready to move on to my next job in 2007, we called them and had them come in. And it was like, you guys understand my infrastructure because you've tried to, come after me a couple of times. Make it yours. Let's get into this. And it was a great experience. And from that point on, I dealt with MSPs on and off over the years. I've worked with them. I've hired them. I've fired them. I've collaborated with them. You name it. I've slept on their couches, a lot of MSP time in this life. But it's stuff that I love doing, from the hands-on to more of the marketing and communications and design work that I do these days, it's all for
Yeah.
the same reason, and that's to bring better experiences for people that work with technology.
Yeah, so when Matt became a free agent, I'm like, wait a minute, this is a perfect time because you actually understand tech stuff and do design work, because that's been the challenge when I've had some other people reach out, but they don't they don't understand the tech, which makes it much harder for them to do something. Because maybe I can spend a lot of time with them creating concepts, but then if I'm spending a lot of time doing it, it kind of goes the other way of, well, now I'm just spending a lot of time doing it. I'd rather not do that. I'd rather focus on making videos. This is where it's easy, man. I can just send like a few images to Matt. I'm like, hey, this thing. He's like, oh yeah, that thing. And then the thing happens.
Look at the back that NASA shirt, right? You had the older version. You wanted me to work on it with you. And I was like, yeah, there's a Synology right here. I got a point of reference. It's no big deal. And the funny thing is I looked up at it. I had a moment of panic, not as I was working on the graphic, but within the past few days, because one of the LEDs on one of the drive bays wasn't lighting up. And there was something about the irony there. I was like working on this. Oh wait, no, that's fine. It's fine. It's too cool. It's on. It's just a Synology being a Synology. But yeah, having the experience, designing networks, building fault tolerant things, heck, building networks in response to 9/11 and then seeing them be super resilient during things like the blackout of 2003 is the kind of stuff that I love. And taking those memories and putting them into products and other ideas for people is just, it's a priceless thing to be able to do.
Yeah, so it's a fun alignment. And one of the things I would love to hear from all of you is feedback on these things. I mean, reach out to us. I'm easy enough I've been posting these on some of the YouTube channel things so people can comment on different shirts as I've been posting them. But there's a lot of things on here. There's a lot of accessories on here. I really like, I think I ordered this shirt too. The not just cabling, this is art. I mean,
it's just pretty.
Yeah, we have more ideas. The cabling stuff kind of lends itself easier, I think, to doing it. But I actually, both of us had some ideas yesterday and today on some more things that are going to be in the store probably soon. So this is not like a static store. This is where it's at today. But among the things we're going to be doing is bringing it, and all the old shirts are here, because there's no doubt at all that my this I already seen, because we're looking at the orders, because it tells us quantities of everything that was ordered, and the Cat 6 shirt is still here, still doing well.
Anything related to that's doing well right now, I'd say.
Yeah,
it's really that infrastructure is where it's at today.
Yeah. Cody's from Canada, so that's why he uses A. This has been request. Do we do the A? We have a B shirt. We actually have that one on here too.
There's the comparison.
Yeah, the comparison on there for maybe this should be a search. Maybe we need a Canadian version of it.
Which one are you, eh?
Them on there.
We could do that, and I think a crossover version would be really sweet too.
Yeah. So Cody, let us know what would make the Canadian in you happy.
Some of the, I love the highly structured shirt as well. How there's like the wireframe of the human, and then all the common parts. I mean, there's, what is it? Yeah, there we go. It's on like, there's a cup, and there's a couple of different versions there. But
yeah, this is cool. Yeah, there's your crimper, your pliers.
Crimpers, your pliers. You got a spool of cable in the middle. I don't think I've had to carry a spool of cable that looked like that in a long time. Typically, they come in the cardboard box. But years ago, I've hauled a couple of the Cat 5, over my shoulders like that before. Not fun.
Actually, when you buy some of the heavier Cat 6 stuff now, it does come back on spools. That's
really?
Yeah, I think the some of the heavy gauge Cat 6A, but all the outdoor stuff is on spools too. So we still have spools. The boxes are much easier, but when you get into some of the heavy gauge stuff, it's back, because we have a couple. We still have them, I think, laying in the back of the office, because we outsource our cabling now. We don't do it internally. We have a third-party company doing it, but we still have some of the spool holders and everything else laying. I gotta figure out what to do with all that stuff. I still got like cable back. I think 10,000 or something feet of cable laying around back there too.
Just a little extra laying around, no big deal. Just a few feet.
Got to sort all that out. But there's a few other things that Matt's going to be helping me with here, and I'll crowdsource a little bit of it too, is conveying concepts. I'm very technical, but I like Matt's got some good perspectives on this, because one of the things I'm trying to bring to the channel for all of you, people that have been following me for a long time are aware of this. I have a background in IT, but I didn't leave the IT industry like a lot of other YouTubers. A lot of them make that pivot, and great for them. They're like, hey, I've been a sysadmin long enough. I am ready to do something else and be a YouTuber. That's great. But I want one foot in both worlds. So I want to be able to bring those reviews. Matter of fact, I got permission recently for a review video. I was just talking to the IT person because I wanted to know how many failed. An internal IT company contracted us to replace 283 access points. So we did that work, and that was in 2018. It's 2024. They're still in use. A few have failed. I think he said 4 of them have failed now.
That's not terrible.
That's not terrible at all. 4 or 5. And that's the kind of stats I want to be able to bring is what does a project look like? Not the day you installed it, which that's important. Did the install go well? Yes. I did a video saying the install went well. I did a video that the install worked a year later. But what happens 6 years later? Did it fall apart? You can't review that in the lab, and unless you have 300 of them and several thousand people who attach
simulating.
It works.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like the car commercials. We hear like, this car brand has #1 in initial quality. That's great. I'm in the lot. And it's fantastic. What about when it's off lease? When it's been paid off? What's it going to be like? Yeah. And it's the same idea. You don't want to worry about these from just about day one. You want to worry about that entire period of their like what's the word? Not deprecation, depreciation rather.
Yes.
And if it's not going to last, then it's a big mistake. And to be able to have that real life experience of understanding and going back is fantastic. It would be like, like Toyota giving a car to someone for 250,000 miles, then doing the checkup and seeing how reliable it is. That's a big deal.
Yeah, because we have in some of the consumer space, consumer reports and things like that. Mm-hmm. They give you some ideas of that. They do some of the studies, but there's not a lot of that in the IT space, the longer term follow-up. So I want to keep bringing more of that to the channel to kind of talk about the products. And sometimes you can infer, like I refer people, I use a lot of TrueNAS. People are like, well, do you really trust TrueNAS, Tom? Someone asked me if I use it in production. I'm like, who do you think's buying these petabyte size servers? I said, yes, this is production equipment. I don't just build it just to say, look, I can build a petabyte. Granted, Linus Media Group used to do a lot more eccentric things to do them for themselves. But we have clients that we're doing this in production equipment for. And, I know what works. I know what doesn't work. I know what works over time to do these things.
And that's a beautiful thing. I think that anyone that's going to give an opinion related to technology has to do their due diligence. They've got to do that dog fooding and use it themselves to make sure that their recommendations are accurate. Like personally, I don't recommend equipment unless it's something that I use and I have time with, and I'll give the goods and the bad about it. That's fine. That's a completely natural thing to do. But that level of transparency is so important.
Yeah. So I'm going to work on that. We have other ideas that me and even Jason Slagle talked about of building a giant lab for things so we can follow stuff even further down the road. That's figuring out how to fund all that is some of the things we're going to do. I will let people in that are in the live stream here because you're going to see it anyways if you're a regular follower of my channel. But I do have a sponsor that just gave me a Slack message. Yes, we'll say. So that'll be fun. Hey, look, there's a wild Simon has appeared.
Oh, hello, friends. Look at that. Hello, Simon. Who else do we have here with us today? Logan. We have a lot of the team from MMN with us today, which is awesome. Good folks.
Yeah. And I'm doing that live show over on there as well. So that'll be next Wednesday. I do the next one. So I'm going to keep those to 2 a month. As when I first started, I said, I'm going to do it every week. And then I paused. I said, nope, don't say that, Tom. Backspace.
Too much.
I will do it every 2 weeks.
There you go. It looks like we've got Marnie Stockman with us too. I see a Lead It Like Lasso in the audience. Oh, nice. That's got to be Marnie. Hey, Marnie.
Sweet.
Yeah, we got some good folks in here with us today.
Yeah, people come around joining us here.
All good people.
It's always sometimes it's I watch the ramp up of numbers. It's sometimes a slower start, but yeah. But I will admit, and it's partly I'm saying here, and I don't think people are going to be too offended. I've had this discussion before of me taking on sponsors. I was testing the waters when I mentioned it. I'm getting around to it. Matt's actually building out some new pages for me, so those are going to look really cool about speakers and sponsors. They're kind of the things that I've been trying to avoid doing, but there's stuff that kind of has to be done so we can pay fancy artists like Matt to do all this stuff.
Buy my shirts, please.
Buy shirts.
But you know what, Tom? But at the end of the day, I think sponsorship's great if they're handled properly. And I think that, and I'm not trying to put things on me, but anyone that knows me from the space knows that I will not get behind something unless I truly believe in it. And you and I had a lot of conversation before we even started doing any of the work we're doing lately. And that was a big part of it. You got to be aligned with the right people to get the right things and the right outcomes that you want. And that comes from being transparent and honest about the work. And that's it, man. Now, Synology, hook it up. You already heard I've got a bad sled, a bad drive here, man. Come on, help me out. I use your products.
By coincidence. I can't say the name of the product because they're going to be releasing the name of it. It's a new model Synology. It's all I can say, but who cares? That detail will be is usually not as exciting. Just the fact that there is some new models coming out. That means though, they want to send it to me. And so that'll, yeah. So we'll put it in production testing over at Matt's place.
Yeah. You know what? All the video editing, another thing I'm going to be doing, it's going to get put through its paces. So, you know, send me a Synology sweatband for myself too, guys. We'll just do it up. It'll be beautiful. Yeah. Anyway,
it was fun. When we've been doing that, we were actually been joking because I use Synology sharing. Synology sharing is actually really good. This is so my production workload for my video editing workflow is all on a TrueNAS system, and it works great for that. But when I have to easily share things with people, I have a Synology that I just use to share. Like if I have to send a video to someone or something I'm uploading, it's like Synology share, because people say, is there an equivalent feature on TrueNAS? I'm like, there's nothing native on TrueNAS for that. I thought about doing, I don't know if this is a business video or a technical video. I compare Synology and TrueNAS, and I'll do a new version of that video soon because I make nice little pretty checklists of what features are on each side of them and things like that. Internally, we have a document on selling storage that I have no problem making public. Maybe I'll do that on a Business Technicalities channel, because when a customer says, well, here's what I have and what do you have as a solution? People ask, well, how do you determine if you're selling multiple solutions, which solutions fits? And this is something I actually have meetings with our sales team to talk this. That the leads come in, the sales team has to look at these things and kind of figure out what bucket they go in, what is the best product market and fit for them.
You have like a bit of a matrix almost that you work with?
We have that internally.
Oh,
that's how they know how to process all those leads.
Nice. And data storage is critical no matter what. I mean, if I had unlimited funds, there would probably be like a quantum tiered storage unit or something like that in the room behind this one. You know, you'd hear the tapes going all day and other stuff. There's nothing worse than losing data, especially after you've been working for so long. You know, you get a quarter century of development files and other stuff, even from being a teenager today. I mean, I still have stuff from when I was wreaking havoc on AOL in the mid 90s, and it's nice to have, but you don't want to see those things go away. And that's kind of, you know, I think you had a stream, was it yesterday or the day before, talking about emulation. And that's such a big part of it. Like, I do have a Windows 95 emulated machine because sometimes I do like looking at code that I wrote when I was 14 or 15 years old. It reminds me where things came from. That's so critical. And I think even more content like that would be a cool thing to see.
Yeah, we talked about that on the Home Lab show. Me and Jade, it was kind of a topic that we tried to figure out. We tried to figure out how to fit it into the Home Lab, but I think there's a lot of value there because a lot of my understanding comes from the fact that working with these old school computers, and you can work with them too.
Yeah. I also think it's just really nice for people to see where things started. Like, you know, an early conversation we had, I learned that the what was it, the TRS-80, I think was the first machine you had. And we had a TRS-80 Model 3 in my house, but I was like too young to really care about it just yet. But my first machine that was the one that kind of got things going for me was a Tandy TX1000. Those aren't things you're going to see anymore. When's the last time anyone out here has seen a copy of DeskMate running as opposed to Windows, right? But it's cool to have an emulated version of that to show people where things came from.
Yeah.
There we go.
I mean, technically, I had an Atari 2600, not a computer.
I had a ColecoVision. It's still in the closet right back there.
But yeah, 86 was the first time I got a computer. So it was I have a video that eventually we'll do. I actually have a whole template set up for the video with a bunch of pictures I'll scroll through in there. So a few people always, every now and then it comes up like, hey, what's the history of how you got here type thing. And I know it's not really exactly a fit for my channel, but I want to be able to answer it. And I learned there's a new feature in YouTube, or I don't know how long the feature's been there. I just learned about it recently. When you publish a video in YouTube, I can publish it to my normal audience, as in people who subscribe. There's actually another button on YouTube that says, don't push to your subscribers. The reason you don't is because sometimes people may unsubscribe because the video doesn't fit your
contextually. It's not the right thing. Yeah.
So you could actually push a video out that just falls to complete organic and not suggested videos for people who subscribe to your channel. Those people are going to subscribe because they like me talking about networking and firewalls and storage. And I get that, or virtualization. Those are the
you're
things.
Answering a question, essentially. In those cases, you're not telling a story. They're very different things. And one group may like the other, but it could also just turn them off completely as being irrelevant. So the idea of being able to distribute like that's beautiful. I mean, gosh, I wish YouTube had that a long time ago. That's a really great feature. I don't know when that
came, but someone pointed out to like, if you choose this option, it's under like when you're uploading a video, it's not like the advanced option at the bottom. You have to do it before you publish a video during upload. That's why you don't see it in post because it's already been pushed. But I thought that was kind of neat. So now now knowing that, when I have some of these off videos that I kind of want to get out there, that way I can reference them and send them. And instead of doing it unlisted, that was my previous way of doing it, was just create an unlisted video, because I don't want it annoying and showing up in the subscription feed for people to go, why I don't care about Tom's history. I just hope I get the next PF Sense video because he tells me how to set up firewalls. I don't care how he learned how to set up firewalls. I just want to know. And I get that. There's times you follow people for a reason because you are interested in them, or sometimes you just go, the person solves a problem. I don't care if he's got a chicken on his head. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care what he's doing today or what he's doing tomorrow. Just tell me if he's got the video I want. And I get that.
But at the same time, it is interesting. Like, Tom, what was the first firewall that you worked on?
Oh yeah, gosh, that's an upcoming video. The first one I used was probably based on Mandrake in 2001. The next one was called IP Cop, which later forked to IP Fire. That was around 2002. So,
but it's a cool thing to learn about someone, Like I think the first firewall I ever administered was a 3Com SuperStack, I think it was, and they almost matched like the switches they had at the time, and the operating system on the thing looked identical to the version of iOS for like the SonicWall devices. Remember when it was like the standard and the advanced version? There was the split. The standard version looked identical to what was on the 3Com, and maybe it was the same firmware or something like that. But those are like cool little facts to throw into conversation, and it shows a little bit about where you came from. That's really cool.
Yeah, because one of the things I'm working on right now, let me find my log seek because it's around here somewhere. There we go. It's my second brain. But I have a video. Oh, this is going to be fun. Let me see if I can share it on the screen. So I don't mind sharing. I'll share all the notes I have for videos. I don't mind sneak peeking that. Where did that go? That should, hopefully this is that. Yeah, open source firewall history.
Ooh.
Because I used a lot of these, so I started pulling together a whole list. And I've covered this before in a podcast. People asking about firewall history, but yeah, this is a big history of lots of these old firewalls that have been around for a long time and all went out of business. There's actually probably more of them. These are at least ones I had some level or touched a little bit of interaction with. And the reason they're all out of business is they haven't found any way to monetize. And it's been like a big challenge with the history of open source firewalls of people came up with ideas and they had no way to sustain the complexities of hiring developers and giving away a firewall for free, which is also kind of funny, is people were complaining that PF Sense, they still have a free version, but their plus version, their enhanced version is $129 a year. And people are like, they're charging way too much. I'm like,
the $10 a month is too much. Don't have a cup of coffee.
Yeah, that's not expensive for a firewall. I mean, obviously comes from a perspective of, working in tech and having a good career, but still 120 years is just not crazy. It's not a wild amount of money for something that divides you between the internet, the outside world of things trying to poke at all your devices, and the inside world where you don't want your devices poked at.
It's like you do like closing your front door at night, right?
Yeah. Yeah, sorry there's a lot of bad people on the internet, but that exists. That's the reality we have to deal with. Your ISP doesn't care much. They're going to give you whatever the lowest bidder gave them.
And even then, I mean, there's internal things that happen. People make mistakes you have to watch out for. I mean, I once answered to a CIO that installed LimeWire on a Microsoft proxy server to download Limp Bizkit albums. That did not go well.
Yeah.
It's like you all of a sudden you see all the lights on the disk array lighting up, and then you're like, oh, that's a lot of pirated software just appeared out of nowhere. That's great. Oh wait, I just got the Matrix movies. I can't be that angry. Those things happen though. Tom, you asked me about keyboards, and
yes.
I took a lot of stuff out of.
Yeah, I was gonna say we got to talk about keyboards.
Conference. Yeah, man. What
you
do you
can
want
do a share screen. I can let me stop sharing because that'll let you share. All right.
Yeah. I don't have to share. I've got everything on camera that I could show you live.
Okay, cool.
Let me see. Is this camera? I don't know if I want to use it. Hold on. Let's see if this one works better. It might be easier for me to hold. Let's see what happens. Where are you, OBS?
Yes. LimeWire back in the day.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Just working with someone that had to put that on to a Microsoft proxy server to download Limp Bizkit albums of all things was just too much for me. All right. Yeah, that's a better angle for this. Check this board out. I haven't been using it that much, but it's this Keychron Q9 Plus. It's got a split space bar. So from here to here is your normal 6 1/4 inch, 6 1/4 unit, not inch, sorry, wide space for a single space bar, and it's been put into 3 buttons. So you've got a layer shifting key, so you can assign different functions to each key, and you've got your split space bar, which for one thing reduces fatigue on your thumbs. You would be surprised the difference in typing on one of these versus your
I'm
standard
gonna have
keyboard.
to try one of those, like the split. I have to have a number row, so that one's not selling me yet. So.
All right, well, hold on, we're gonna get there. We got some other stuff. How about this Prionic?
Now that's cool.
That's a pretty board.
I like the coloring on that.
And we got that kind of like violet colored aluminum case on it. You've got your number row on this one, and a completely orthogonal layout. So you're not really moving your hands that much when you're typing with it, which is a beautiful thing. Reducing wear and tear.
So there's one thing's actually, so I'm glancing over at my Rocat keyboard. I know just generic stuff here, but I do like the lack of the bezel on that. That makes them look so much better. That cleaner look. It's the same thing with monitors. Like I'm looking at my monitors and I love how their bezel, I know it's something I can't really show on camera, that thin, like as that has gotten where screens are like edge to edge. That makes me happy.
It's like, the bezels we used to have on cell phones, and nowadays they're not there anymore. And it just feels like a completely different type of device. Yeah. With that said, let's talk about some splits, because those are the boards that I love building. And this board is one that I showed.
I'm gonna have to try one sometime.
We're gonna have to send some to you. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna just send a bunch to you and see what you like. But this board I put together a couple of weeks ago for myself after making one for Drew Hackworth over at Polaris, and it's just a gorgeous split. It's pretty. You can see all the PCB on the bottom. You've got beautifully contoured keys here. You've got your rotary encoder, screens, the whole deal. And I love naming the boards, because I build so many that you have to have some way to differentiate. Like, how about that Lily 58? Which one of the 8 Lily 58s you've built in the past year? Well, we named this one Cinnamon Rolls Royce. And I think that's the best name for a keyboard ever, because it makes absolutely no sense. Cinnamon Rolls Royce. What the hell is that? I don't know. It's my keyboard. But yeah, we can send one of those to you. I can actually build one of those and send it off to see what you like. And if you like things that are smaller, check out this Corn. This is a board that I absolutely love. This one is a combination of a few different people. There's a guy named Matt Mancuso, who was responsible for the boards from MSP GeekCon last year. Do you still have yours?
Oh, yeah.
He revised the PCB, the circuit board that's used in here, to add on rotary encoders and some other pluses. And I combined it with a case kit from Little Keyboards. So let me just pull this key off. You can see that plate's stainless steel, laser cut, which is sweet, right? And you need a little refinement. So you have the nice walnut as the base.
Walnut base in here. I see a lot of people here are quite the fan of these, so I'm going through the comments here.
Well, they're fun to work with. If you've ever incurred damage in your hands, which over the years I've been impaled. I had a hand get split open at the beginning of the pandemic on a live stream, and I glued it shut instead of going to the hospital. I mean, things happen, and having the right board in front of you makes a huge difference in your work day. Your hands feel great at the end of the day if you've got the right board. Here's one. I think I'm actually going to end up giving this in a giveaway because it's cool. It's a little a sweep. I love the little crab on there. Sweep and crab. Chalk baseboard, super thin, low profile. There are 3D printed cases and stuff for it, but I want to get something like that together for people and send them out. And there's tons of other stuff. Like, I could literally sit here and show you probably 200 different types of PCBs that I have in a box right now, and I'm not going to do that to you, but I'm going to show you 2 more that are kind of cool.
Yeah,
this one is awesome. Man. Now, one of the things I love about split boards is that you can position them to, open up your chest a little bit, let your arms sit in a more natural place. You're not bunched up. And one thing I like is if I'm in a tight quarters, I tend to type with my hands like this, almost like a 90-degree angle. That's what this board was meant to do. Plus, it looks like a pterodactyl or something. I don't know.
I like the design on the PCB. That is really cool.
Right? And once this is built out, it's going to be an amazing board for use in close quarters. And, when you're at a conference or something, you don't have a lot of room, but you don't want to use, the keyboard on one of these things. I can't. They feel dead to me when I'm typing on them. That's the board that's going to go with me. That's the board that's going to be at conferences when I go to places this year. And, I think people start seeing them. And at first, I remember Kyle from MSP Geek was like, Matt, I don't know what's wrong with you. That thing's got 6 keys on it. How do you type anything? How do you type your name with it? But then, that following year, we had the boarding school through MMN with Ray Orsini, and everyone loved it. I can't tell you. I never even got one of those keyboards. They disappeared. I've got mine here. This is the one that inspired it. This was the original Revyon 34 that I got from Matt Mancuso. Hold on. There we go. So it's basically the same board that you guys got to build. at the conference, and I don't know, everyone had a lot of fun with that. We're going to do some more stuff like that in the future.
You know, a few of my staff, and I got to look up what they have. They don't always join the live stream, so they're not here commenting. But they have a couple of those accessory keyboards that are programmable. Because what they do is they program different, so it will function to control different things during their day for work, for switching calls or changing settings for parameters and stuff like that. Storing macros in them. It's
little guy like this.
Yep, exactly.
Actually, this is for Marnie Stockman. I just grabbed it out of my project box and realized who it was for. This will get done this weekend, I promise. So yeah, there's so many things out there that are a lot of fun to work with. And, you know, I'm starting to work on content again around boards. And I want to make this more accessible to people in the MSP community that I know, that I'm building for, IT professionals. I was having a conversation with Reddit, someone on Reddit the other day, and it was amazing. He hold on one second. I don't know if you can hear my my lawnmower on right now. It's just
a little bit.
My neighbor loves coming way too close to my property and mowing his lawn. Or actually mowing my lawn. Anyway, I'm sorry, where were we on that? That completely got me. That was the loudest lawnmower ever.
You know, here's a question, and you pretty answered. Way too many custom keyboards are either too small for me or available only in a US layout.
Oh, we can fix that really quickly.
I see you would know which ones would fit. I don't know what layout you're looking for. First, let's type a message, tell us what layout you're looking for. I think you said UK previously, but I don't know where you're at.
To be very honest with you, on most boards that are programmable or use firmware like QMK, the layout's irrelevant because you can set it up however you want it to be. There are pieces of software, like there's one called VIA for boards that are built on QMK that are enabled for VIA, and you can graphically change the key map however you want it to be. Now, if someone wanted, say, a split keyboard that had a lot of keys on it, because some of them don't, a lot of them are 34, 42, 58 keys. You want more because, you know, your standard keyboard has, 104 keys on it or something like that. There is one. Now, Tom, you played Doom growing up, right? You remember the BFG?
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's a keyboard called the BFO, the BFO 9000. It's the big F in ortho. So it's this gigantic ortholineo keyboard, and I think it has a total of 108 keys on it or something like that. And it's only available from a company called Keebio. That's KEEBIO.com or KEEB.io. And it's a kit that's more than reasonable. And I literally have one sitting like 3 feet away from me right now. Hold on a second. We'll do a comparison of size real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had my project box next to me just in case anything came up. See? So we've got the Korn, which I think is probably the most popular split keyboard. And then we've got the BFO. Big difference between size of those guys. So if there was a board that you wanted that was truly full-sized, having the BFO, I keep calling it a BFO. I think that's a line from like Bob's Burgers or something. You bring these two together and you've got a really great board. It's huge. You can have a regular alphanumeric space plus a numpad built into the thing. It's still a split. It's fully configurable with QMK and VIA if it's compiled properly. So you can set that key map to be however you want. If you got yourself a set of keycaps that are flat, that don't have any contour to them, so you can move them around the board however you want, you've got infinite choices on something like that. And at the end of the day, a board coming from a great company. There's nothing that I've ever gotten from Keebio that I have not liked.
Yeah, it's all, you put together and you're assembling these, so quality keys and everything else as you assemble it, and the customization that goes into it. So that we have man, if you ever get talking, one of our staff members is like the keyboard guy. Internally, if there's a keyboard question, they all defer to our internal staff that happens to like have way more keyboards. He changes them out from time, like much like you. He's a man after your own heart. There's a collection of keyboards around him at any given moment.
Dude, I swear someone's mowing my lawn and they're not supposed to be. Right. I might just close that window in a second so as not to cause trouble. But this is literally a box full of PC boards for keyboards.
Nice.
So we've got a whole lot more to make for people in this space, and we're gonna have fun with it. I'm gonna start recording content too, and you're gonna have to be a part of it. We're gonna have to build a
Oh yeah.
board for you based on your preferences.
Yeah, I'd be willing to try it. I'm willing to try something different. I've always liked clicky keyboards. I'm a long time, forever. I had my IBM original keyboard. You know,
Yes.
those are great.
I had one of those for my aunt that gave she had like an IBM XT in the 1980s or early 90s, and as soon as that thing went, I took that board, and I think I had it I had it until I had the Microsoft Ergo, probably in the early 2000s, because it was just a good solid board. Things aren't built the way that they used to be. There were a lot of manufacturing changes that took place in the IBM boards with regards to the mechanisms and of course the sale to Lexmark and stuff over the years. And it's never the same. But that happens in all places. Like we've talked about cars a little bit. I drive a 94 Cherokee because it's simple and it works. You know, that I understand the mechanics of it. And if I feel something on the road, I've had it such a long time, I know exactly what's going on. It's the same idea with some of the older equipment. And there's a different tactile experience, I think, is really what it is.
Being an old car builder myself, I was just I was daydreaming and reminiscing of how much I miss my 1980 Chevy Scottsdale that I built. So yeah. So it's there is an appreciation I have for the simpler mechanics of those. That's why I like some of the classic motorcycles is the simplicity of it. And I just, electronic fuel injection. What? As much as I love working on very complicated firewalls and storage servers and all this other fun stuff.
Keep certain things simple. Although I will say you were just like, power steering, what? I'm like, oh man, airbags, what?
Yeah.
I should probably get a new car someday.
At some point. Have you ever used a Dvorak keyboard?
I have. There's Dvorak and there's Colmac is another common setup. Sometimes it could be a little bit difficult to get in place depending on the kind of keycaps that you want to use, the different positioning of the keys. But they do work really well for different folks. It really, I think, plays your profession, the type of writing that you do. It plays a large role. I find that there are a lot of developers out there that like alternative key maps like that. In fact, if you go to Reddit, there's I think it's the Ergo Mech subreddit or something like that. There's a discussion going on there right now about different key maps, and people have all been posting their own preferred key maps for themselves. And it's cool. I don't go into Reddit that often, but I've been looking at this as it's been developing, and I was surprised to see how many people are software developers that were in the conversation. And it started happening when you realized everyone was talking about different text editors that are command line based. Someone's using Nano, someone's using this, someone's using that. They like the key map for X, Y, and Z. And that was a really cool thing to see because I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that at all. And I was even talking to a guy on Reddit earlier, and he knew who you were. That was the craziest part of it. It's like, all right, so you have a UniFi network at home and you like these keyboards? You're all right with me, guy. That was such an interesting thing to have happen. I didn't expect there to be that kind of overlap, I guess, if you will.
Well, and we may bring some keyboard context. I don't think it's too far off because it's one of those things. If you're using technology, how you input with that technology is relevant at some point. Like you have to. There's voice commands have not. It's actually there's a disappointment of where I didn't think we'd be. I remember voice to text and Dragon dictation and some of those things like 15.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I thought by 2024 I would be like, Mr. Scotty going, computer, let's make a thing. And, like Star Trek, it was just a thing would happen.
We don't have a Mr. Fusion. I'm still waiting for the Black & Decker pizza oven from Back to the Future 2 because I want those little packets of Pizza Hut. How great would that be? Keep the pantry full of them,
Yeah. There's a lot of things in technology that didn't play out in the future quite like we hoped. But
the Jetsons completely failed.
It seems like we were close to solving it with Dragon dictation. I was like, this is pretty cool. I can imagine it's getting better. How many times me and Matt, we talk a lot on Signal, and the typos I edit are because I'm using voice to text. I'm like, I'm not mispronouncing things. It said something completely different than what I said.
And then I'm always editing things because we know what one of these keyboards I'm typing on. I don't know which one of these keyboards I'm typing on. So, we've got error-laden messages, but we get everything through because we know what we're talking about. Yeah. And that's cool. That's a really cool thing.
We can use that fuzzy logic in our heads to go, I know what he probably meant. He didn't mean ducking.
That ducking keyboard keeps getting me. It's driving me nuts.
He's got ducks on his keyboard? No. One day we'll get that. We'll get it right. It just takes time.
But you know what? There's a lot of space and opportunity, I think, in front of both of us, the way we're going to be working on things moving forward. And it's exciting. It's exciting. I mean, I feel bad because I haven't been paying attention to the comments, but there's quite a few that have come in here. And they're all friends of the community, and I love seeing it.
Yeah. That's a nice thing because Matt's we're the Venn diagram of the people we know is pretty overlaid because the MSP community, because we know a lot of the vendors.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't just know the companies, but the vendors that provide a lot of the services, because we go hang out at events and get to meet them all. And Matt's done work for random vendors. Matter of fact, kind of related, I'm wearing the
Ninja.
the Ninja One shirt, and Matt's going to be working with, and we'll together collaborative. We're going to see if we can't get some of their shirts available for people to buy as well. Because I know these are some of the, we're going to see if we can't work that out with some of them and see if we can line it up. So
I should have worn a Ninja shirt today. I've got so many of them. I wore a Nihilist Arby shirt today when I woke up. I was like,
nothing. I like it.
But yeah, Ninja has got some awesome shirts, and right here I've got some other IT stuff. They did their IT summit in 2021 that had this really cool futuristic, almost Jetsons-like theme. And that's a shirt that I still wear on a regular basis. And you wear it out and people are like, what's that from? Is that a movie? Is that a comic book? Like, no, it's a security conference that was virtual. And they're like, oh, like there's like that moment of like disbelief. Like, I thought everything technical was kind of boring and like maybe a little overly verbose. This is awesome. Like, yeah, this is creativity in the space is amazing.
Yeah, and actually, one of the things I like when specifically the shirt I'm wearing, and they've done this before, this is the backups and bandwidth. And as a matter of fact, this shirt has a special meaning to me because it was the first time they did it, and they didn't have enough bandwidth.
That was ITX, yes. Oh boy, I remember that.
Yeah, the show, the live, because we did this all as a live stream, and there was some bandwidth issues for sure going on, but it was solved by the one we did last time. But the concept was, and this is where I think a lot of people will really like this, and I've maybe thought about how do I do this on a live stream with a few people to make this fun. They would give you a scenario. You are new IT people, but then your boss is an ogre, and they kind of theme things a little bit differently to make it kind of D&D themed. But the goal is to you get a call that the servers are down. You have to go through a troubleshooting process, a backup restore process. You have someone who's a dungeon master, and you are rolling for whether or not you can find the backup password, rolling for whether or not you can find the documentation.
So real life.
Yeah, and there's like real life. So there's variable amounts, or what is the chance that this backup will work and fix this server? What is it the chance that it's actually DNS and that you have the ability to update the DNS? So there was a whole bunch of scenarios they walk you through, but what this taught you is how your plan may need some table topping to go back and forth. Now, the other thing I did with Wes Spencer, and I'm hoping this person makes this a site that goes live. Right now, it's all in beta. It was not Dungeons and Dragons theme, but it was a really cool online tabletop exercise that spun up entire scenarios. It's a pretty big back end. So it was all these different IT scenarios. And it's basically you're the MSP, you're an IT company managing a bunch of other clients. And an event has happened that's caused downtime at so many clients. You assign people's roles. And then the other thing that gets really wild, like you assign a CISO role, you'll assign an admin role, and then you get so many tier 3 technicians, so many tier 2 technicians, so on and so forth. When you're trying to restore clients, you do not have enough technicians to restore all of them at once.
You have to prioritize and triage.
You have to then prioritize.
Oh, cool.
And a tier 2 tech can do the work of a couple of tier 1s, and tier 3 can do the work of some of the others, but the servers can only be restored by your tier 3 techs. The workstations can be restored by your cool. Tier 1, but then app troubleshooting goes back to there's a lot of scenarios that they put into it, but then you have to, it has a countdown timer in minutes that each one, it's like turn based. So every time a turn comes up, who's going to get the next round of things? And if you don't restore the servers first, you can't restore the workstation. So you always have to prioritize servers. Then once the servers are restored, you can start restoring workstations. And then you can choose which servers that control. It was just a really fun scenario, but this allows you to tabletop kind of what a real world looks like, because
the randomness is the big part of that, though, because that's the problem. You have the same scenario 5 or 6 times, you get used to it. It's like taking, and I'm going to say it, it's like getting a Microsoft certification where you're like, yeah, Contoso does this, Northwind does that. I know it's what the answers are. That doesn't help people, but that's amazing. And you know what? I'm just going to say it. Electronic Arts. You have to come up with SimCity MSP edition. Make it happen. Articulate those splines for us.
That's what this guy's trying to build. He's an MSP building this as a tool he wants to make public.
It's the random chaos kind of generator kind of thing behind that would be so much fun to poke around.
Because until you've actually been inside of when an event happens,
Yeah.
you don't realize how resource constrained you are. I mean, we have 17 technicians at CNWR right now, I think.
They
That's
disappear
not
quickly.
enough for the over 100 clients we have if there was an incident that affected all of them. We have to figure out with the limited number of technicians we have and friends we have that we call to help us, how do
Mhm.
you make that happen? The perfect example is United Health. United Health recruited Mandiant, Amazon, Google. That's how many people that when you start reading what went on behind the scenes at United Health with that breach they had in February, they did not have the resources to start restoring these hospitals and getting back and running. They had to call in everyone they knew to try to make this happen. And even that took almost a month of restoring to do. That's where these tabletops really, they'll kind of teach you what resource constraints look like when you have emergency situations that may come up. Even if they're minor situations, you want to be able to handle them. You want to be able to walk through them as an exercise. And I thought it was just a really cool, I don't remember the URL for the site, but it's not live at all right now for the public. But when it is, I even told the guys, like, I'll promote that. Like I'll share it out to people because I think it's a fun thing.
It is. The value of that's huge. I mean, and look, like I've said before, the first 15 years of my career running IT departments and stuff, I think we all have a moment at some point. Maybe we don't want to admit to it, but we freeze. Something happens and we freeze. You have that happen once. And then after that, you start understanding that preparation and having the contingency planning and looking at every possible scenario, planning for the worst and hoping for the best, but always being able to plan for the worst is such a must. I mean, this is great. And it goes back to Ninja. So I'm really happy it's coming up. I had Jonathan Crow on the MSP I used to work for as a weekly live stream. And we did this amazing episode on planning and doing tabletops. As we start doing the tabletopping work, I have no clue what happened in my neighborhood. It was the most surreal thing. I hear Vespas and I look out the window and there are two guys, middle-aged, probably like not middle-aged, like in their 60s, right? Like on vacation. And they're wearing all white outfits on white Vespas with white helmets going by the house. And that's the kind of thing you see and you're like, am I in the Matrix? Like there's like, there's a glitch. And then I turn around and my entire screen's frozen. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? Oh, internet's down. Oh, power goes down. I look at my cell phone. There's no signal. And I'm like, this is literally happening in the middle of a live stream about doing a tabletop about things going down. What is going on right now? And then I get to see the recording of the stream and they picked up perfectly. They're like, all right, well, sometimes things happen. Jonathan's like, we have contingencies for this. That's why I'm here. All right, folks, welcome to Valiant Live. And they did the whole thing for like 20 minutes without me. And I finally get online, like, you guys good? They're like, yeah, we had a plan. How great was it to see like something actually unexpectedly go wrong in the middle of content delivery on how to handle a situation when things go wrong? It couldn't have been any better. And the fact that the three of them were able to just continue on with the stream without missing a beat was awesome. And it's the same idea. Yeah, that's content creation. That's not management of someone's network. But having that level of prep is just so crucial when you're delivering experiences to customers that you want to come through for, that you care about in a lot of cases. And having that ability to test your wits and your ability to work under constraints and pressure. But no, it's not the end of the world. Should you make a mistake and you can undo and redo it again is just awesome. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, the things we need to plan for as complexity goes up is wild. That's it's one of those things, man. Some of this stuff's been running for so long, we don't know exactly how to ground level up restore it if there's major incidents that these companies kind of learn. You learn about bandwidth constraints. You learn about the actual, when you're doing backups and restores, you really learn about the importance of having a local copy of all this stuff so you can try to get it because
local
bandwidth.
copy.
Yeah.
Verify as well. I mean, going back to the Dungeons and Dragons kind of stuff, there may have been a mountain of ferrous material that I used to store my backup tapes in, and there was one instance where they came back and there was no data on them. was Mountain of Ferrous Nature good enough without having to say the name of the company?
Yeah. Actually, this is kind of related. Google Cloud accidentally deletes Unisuper, some big company, online account due to unprecedented misconfiguration.
Unprecedented?
Unprecedented. Now, actually, I like the fact that they didn't say affects a few customers. They actually Google admitted we goofed. We somehow misconfigured and deleted an entire company off of our cloud.
Oops.
And yeah, this was in there. So who funds 620,000 members Yeah.
You
The
know,
new CEO, Peter Chum, who funds the 620 members, explaining the outage was not the result of a cyber attack and no personal data had been exposed because all of your data was deleted. Google Cloud CEO Thomas has confirmed the disruption arose from unprecedented sequence of events.
but guys, it's fine. Nothing got leaked because it doesn't exist anymore. You literally have nothing to worry about. And it probably turns out that someone with like a third mouse button accidentally deleted everything.
Yeah. Well, Amazon had that when they shut down one of their data centers with a bad run book.
Was
They
that
were
the one
able.
a few months ago where like
I
a
was a
bunch of
couple of years
people?
ago.
Years, okay.
Yeah, a couple of years ago where they have like a series of commands and you'll say, I want to build, I think it was like to restart the service, you can type in a number of how many of the servers you want to restart. Well, it turns out there's not input sanitization. So you can put a number larger than they actually can do, and it will
Past
try to
memory
execute
limits
it and put
and
the whole thing into a loop. Amazon actually did a really nice debrief on that because they're like, we didn't have input sanitization on a run book that allowed you to type a number to restart some function of a service. You could say, so restart 10 servers, you could type in 100 or 1,000 and it would just do it. And
oops.
yeah, so those little interesting things. It's taken forever. There was I covered on my channel in like 2018 a couple of very large outages caused by BGP. BGP can be really challenging, and once again, we are supposed to have guardrails of input sanitization, but we didn't. And a little steel company updated their BGP routes. They typoed their BGP routes in Pittsburgh. They said that they owned the entirety of AWS. Now, Verizon, who had no input sanitization, Verizon said, oh, you do? Then I guess
Great.
you do. So they took and assigned the AWS East IP block to a steel company in Pittsburgh because they said they owned it. And when a company as big as Verizon publishes routes, people listen because they're Verizon and they run the Eastern Seaboard for connectivity on the back end. So when they published the routes, everything went to hell.
It's like someone messing with root servers for DNS or something by accident. You know, it's just, it's going to propagate across everything and just wreak havoc.
Yeah.
And I feel
like
like
it turned out it was even worse because when Verizon did that, because of their intertwining nature of AWS infrastructure, Verizon infrastructure, it took out 911 across part of the East Coast. This was like in 2018. I have a video or something on it, but you can dig around. The stories are wild because it's not just a story because everyone just thought it was some massive attack on the US. Wasn't at all. It was human stupidity.
Yeah.
But because it shut down and locked up everything, the way they got through was, first, no one knew what happened, but then when someone realized at Amazon what happened, he'd happened to know the person in charge of BGP at Verizon. So he was actually able to pick up the phone and dial them. It's like, yo, because I know you're not getting these emails because that's broke too. So here's what you need to do. Then the next problem was, we can't get access to our router, so revert them back now. So we're going to have to go manually reset these to the last known config. So it was like,
I feel like there must have been someone in that conversation was like, are we going to have to like Independence Day this and like use Morse code to communicate till we fix this? This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It was a wild outage to read like what happened after. So my friend from the Sunday Morning Linux Review podcast I used to do, Tony Bemis, that's where he works, as a company that manages threats and challenges that go on with BGP. That's what his day job is auditing that stuff. So I get to learn. I've learned a lot about how it works from him. I got to bring him on the show sometime and talk about what he does.
You know what? I'm starting to remember this outage, and I think that, and it's one of those things when you don't know the background, you start kind of like speculating in your head what it could be. And I think that my friends and I were making jokes about peering issues between like level 3 and Cogent, because there's always like, feel like there's been a rivalry there for many, many years. And it was like, all right, someone snipped someone's copper someplace, blah, blah, blah. And then you hear the full story about what happens and you realize it wasn't malicious. It wasn't a hack. It was just a mistake. And those happen. And it sucks, but you can laugh a little bit about that.
Yeah. And what happens as well is there was like, it was like roughly an 8-hour outage, I think. So most of the workday, people couldn't get things done. But by the time overnight and everything propagated and it was fixed, no one bothers to read what happened. Like, oh, mistake caused outage.
It's over with.
Yeah, it's over with. And I guess I have to get back to work. And all those emails that didn't show up yesterday are all here today, along with today's emails. So I guess I can't really go dig into it. But I love those well thought out debriefs and lessons learned of reverse engineering. Like, this is everything that went wrong. How do we not have this go wrong again?
Not that you want to see things go wrong, but it would be hilarious if someday some major corporation was like, we were subject to X, Y, and Z, and I swear I'll never drink orange juice at my desk again. And that's
Yeah.
it. Like half of Microsoft went down because someone laughed at a meme and they got orange juice all over their keyboard, and it just became like this beautiful spectacular of like sparks and everything flying. And Satya Nadella's got to be like, all right, guys, we got to get this email together. It's going to be a doozy. Someone get Tropicana on the phone.
all the fun things that go wrong in tech. They
keep us employed. Keep it up.
Employed. There's always something new going on. That's
as long as people start slapping RAM in backwards, there's always going to be a paycheck someplace, and I'm okay with that.
Yep. Well, we'll wind this down here. We'll give people 5 more minutes. They have some more questions. I seen someone said they missed the keyboard stuff. Roll back. We covered a lot of keyboard things. Leave some comments on that if you want to see some keyboard videos on the channel, or have Matt will be doing it, not me. I'll just be the person asking questions.
I've been planning on doing some builds lately, and like I said, I've got the equipment. So yeah, let's plan on doing one of those one day. Maybe at lunchtime I could do a build and lunch and learn kind of a thing with some boards or something like that. It'd be fun.
And let me know what you think of the swag store. Do you like some of the new shirts we've added there? Are there other ideas that we should throw in the list? Other products on there? Let me know on that. I really like how all this turned out. Like I said, we still have some of the old ones. We have some really fun new ones too. This made me laugh. Just like a reverse take on the whole O'Reilly books.
Just the fact he's got a gold chain. I guess what would be considered a Trilby hat. I'm not sure what that is. A monocle and a tattoo.
Yeah.
He is swagged to death. It's beautiful.
We also have some of these. We got one version here. So if you want one that's in the middle, and I don't know if I'm right or I'm wrong. I like them offset because my keyboard sits on there. So then I have the stuff offset on here like this. So when you have your keyboard on it, you get to see it. So
see, we're gonna have to get you a nice small compact slit keyboard. That way the center graphic fits perfectly.
Oh yeah, you know what? You're right. I'm not thinking of the keyboard world where that makes the center graphic fits part of it. That's a whole idea for a desk mat, is like an outline of where your split keyboard goes.
Make it look like the what's it called? The styrofoam trays from like middle school that lunch would come on. You got your little section where the milk goes, the main dish, the sides. Here's your keyboard, here's your mouse, maybe a notebook. Now you're organized. There you go, guys.
Absolutely.
It might have to happen. But yeah, there's so many great things here. The moon. I mean, it has nothing to do with technology really, but the humor of it got me. The idea of there being an ice machine, like, yeah, guys, of course, there's ice on the machine. There's ice on the moon. Just look. There's probably some red Solo cups there too. You just haven't gotten a high enough power telescope yet. That's all it is.
Obvious crater.
Yeah, you just didn't look far enough, guys.
I don't know if I've seen people say they're going to order this one, the Serenity candle. We'll see. We'll see on that one. I like it. I get a lot of people excited about it. We'll see how many orders we get for that one.
I think that it's going to be the kind of thing where, folks, you can't just buy one. You have to buy like a dozen of them, place them around like the bathtub, and that becomes like your area of serenity. That's what it is. Just buy one.
Oh, I know. Internally, this one got a lot of love too, and so we're going to do an internal order. We're putting it all together. A little frame. These frame box ones are cool. I ordered a ton of stuff. It's not here. I would actually be showing off the swag. So the store is live. I ordered stuff from it before it went live. Now that the store is live, you can order things from it too. But until the stuff comes, I don't have anything to actually show right now. But I will. I'll do a show and tell of what this, because I'm I want to show people directly what the swag looks like in hand as well.
I think we do that, and at some point in the future, maybe I take you guys down to my basement to the screen printing studio, and we could look at how screen printing is done, manually versus other methods that are used. You really dive into it. Hell yeah, man. We're going to do that. We're going to do like a whole thing. I'm going to pretend to be Mr. Wizard and show everyone sciencey things and design things. It'll be fun.
That might be fun. I'll come up to your place. I'll fly out to you to do that.
Yeah, come up to New York.
Limited run shirts. We'll find something funny. We'll do like limited run that we'll ship hand. Because right now it's all done through a fulfillment store. Because that way it makes it easier to fulfill, and I don't have to try to do it. But we don't mind. We'll do some limited run stuff where we can't do it the old school way.
Are you kidding? We'll tape the entire thing. People can see their shirts being done. We'll make a thing of it. We'll have fun. Heck, we can stream from the basement.
Well, we'll do a live stream in the basement. Here's the shirts you're making. Place your orders, etc. You would have seen your shirt get made, and you'll have, I don't know. We'll figure out how to do some type of run number on it or something.
It's going to be like the next level version of QVC. People get ready for it.
well, with all nerd stuff. All right, we'll wind it down there. I have some fun things I got to go take care of. Me and Matt have some brainstorming. We're going to keep going forward on.
Lots to do.
As always, I'll be transparent about the advertising and once all that gets rolling. So that's definitely. I don't think too many people are concerned, but I do have and always have. I've had for years now a content ethics policy where I make sure I'm very upfront about how we do things in terms of content and advertisers and things like that. I wish I clearly label it. And I was doing that before there was lots of FTC rules that are almost unenforceable on it. Because boy, there's a lot of people that don't do
the right thing.
Jobs disclosing that you're watching or reading an ad.
Yeah, no, none of that around here. I can't have it. This is 100% genuine experience-based knowledge being shared here, and I love it.
Absolutely. Well, thanks everyone for joining, and I'll catch you next time.
Have a good one, folks.